If you've been watching headlines and the world has been having a total dumpster fire, it's 2026, we are officially in spring market. And if you're in Richmond, Virginia, you're going to be really excited because the crash is not here. We're in number 6 in the country in top housing markets in the United States. That's pretty good at all the states. We're not feeling that burn like Texas and Florida, even though I think they're kind of rebounding now all of a sudden. But something to think about is that we've seen a projected growth of 10.6%. And I'm breaking down the raw data here today for April 2026, just so you can see. I'm Alicia Soy-Cal. I'm the principal broker for Fiv Realty Co. It's a new revenue share brokerage, and I've opened the state up for Virginia. And I've been an agent now, gosh, I'm going on 12 years. Can't believe it. I've just been able to help hundreds of buyers and sellers. And I also coach clients across the country. So I thought it'd be appropriate timing to do a market update here generally. So if you're a little nervous and you're like dipping your foot in the water, doing more tours, checking out open houses, or you're like calling, around to see if this is going to work for you, you're getting quotes from mortgages, if you're holding on for something that's going to happen and give you that light bulb that it's time to move, you're probably going to be too late. And I saw that happen in 2020 and 2021 and all the different markets. It's going to be constantly something going on. I feel like if you need to move, meaning like you have a urgency to move for whatever reason, whether it's a new job, relocation, diapers, like you're getting new babies, downsizing, you just want a different lifestyle, you want to move somewhere else, it just could be many, many reasons. Don't rob yourself the opportunity to live in the house that's going to give you the most joy, right? And I think that's the biggest thing. Don't allow the fear of what's going on in the world to keep you from moving forward if that's what you want. That's the number one thing I want you to understand if you're watching this video. But if we're looking at it, spring market is, typically what we see. Everyone waits for spring market, right? And especially in a suburban area like we live in, we have city, we have rural, we have farmland, horseland, historic, and all that stuff. But a lot of times it reflects around what's going on in the school calendar. Traditionally, people like to sell and buy in the spring or so and move in the summer so that they can settle their life and start over again. And it's kind of something we've seen day in and day out, right? Every year there's a cycle, there's a season, there's a pattern that happens with real estate. And this season is no different, right? But I think everyone's like, if the market's going to crash, everything's going to go to hell. And, it's just not happening. So don't listen to that. And if your house is not selling, it's because it's not priced. Okay. It's not priced right. Just heads up. It's not priced right. Talk to your agent about it. Or if you want to talk to someone else about it, give me a call. And if you're with an agent, listen to your agent. Just listen to them because they probably know what they're doing and you just don't want to hear it and you don't know better. Okay. So median days on sale, basically has climbed approximately medium sales price. I can't even speak. I have my numbers right in front of me. We've climbed actually to $415,000 as median sales price. So it's actually still really affordable in the Richmond area. I mean, there's homes here that you could potentially, it's the median. There's homes well over that, which is very, very high end. And then homes well below that, believe it or not. It's actually 3% up from year over year. Days on market, we're actually seeing homes go pending in about 24 days. So it's actually less than a month. And it's slower than the hyperspeed 15 days we saw last year in the spring market. But, we're responding to everything that's been going on in the world, right? Things with Iran, the government shutdowns, all the crazy stuff with the TSA and everything going on. And it's still a seller's market, believe it or not, if you priced it right. And I just had a listing go pending very quickly. It was priced really well. They got it ready. They did all the work. And yes, we had all these showings and a great offer and we're under contract, surprise. And, I had a beautiful buyer lost a contract on one that we wrote on that we for sure thought we would have won and we didn't. So we are seeing multiple bids on certain price points and homes in certain conditions and neighborhoods. And we can talk about that here in a little bit. We'll get to that. But I just wanted to make you understand that, when you hear national news, you need to take it down to the micro level. And even in the micro level in the Richmond area, you need to think about neighborhoods, school districts, price points, condo, single family, farm, it's all different. So make sure you specify before you ask someone, what exactly about the market do you want to know about? Are you looking at it as a buyer, as a seller, and as an investor? Okay, so we're doing this market update. And then thinking about this too, like inventory levels is really important to think about. We are at 1,100 active listings as of, I'm pulling this today, April 15th, tax day. Maybe some of y'all are going to get some great tax return money, which would be great money to renovate your house or do some moves or do whatever you want to do. And this is a stabilizing inventory, okay? But we're still well below the 5 to 6 months, which would be called a neutral market, right? Anything below 6 months is a seller's market. And that's balanced. 5 to 6 months is considered a balanced market. So we are technically still in a seller's market. So for my luxury sellers in Midlothian, which is a very popular area, and Short Pump, which is a very popular area, the stats are even tighter, believe it or not, okay? And the high-end inventory remains the most sought after areas. And anybody that lives in our area in Richmond knows that these are very sought after areas. Anybody that's relocating here often asks about Short Pump area and Midlothian area. If you're looking for a buyer for value, an investor, or that kind of thing, appreciation, you really need to look for progress in areas that are kind of growing. Manchester area is no longer up and coming. Okay, it's booming already. It's already arrived. There's something called the Diamond District redevelopment picking up steam, and the Northside corridor is seeing massive spillover as well in interest. So at one point that was like rock bottom. You could get in there, and now I'm seeing some really high-end prices there. The suburban shift is happening. We're seeing huge trend of buyers wanting more walkability, and I'm seeing that as well. And I think maybe it's a large group of empty nesters or people just wanting easier lifestyle. Scott's Addition in our area has grown tremendously, which is exciting. And the Fan, of course, is always so popular. It's just so expensive to live in that area. It's higher priced. And of course, with the price point of Henrico, there's two pieces of Henrico. There's the West End. It's like a U shape. They're the West End, and then there is the East End, and in between is Mechanicsville or Hanover County. And so it just depends, but Lakeside and North Highland Park are primary beneficiaries of the shift of areas growing. Lakeside has been a little gem that just continues to grow and do things. There's the cutest little houses there. And then the biggest thing is looking at for agent perspective shift. If you're an agent watching this and you're guiding your clients and you're looking for different things, just think about that. If you're an agent, you need probably wondering, how can I help my clients navigate this uncertainty? And you need to be certain. You need to educate your clients. You need to be the expert in what you're doing. So study the market. Look what's coming soon. Look what's pending really quick on fast 1 days on market. Look at the condition of these homes. I welcome you to actually go to the brokers opens, go to open houses, see what your clients are doing, have those conversations, and have conversations outside of the area of your direct market so you can compare and contrast what you're seeing. And it's so important because looking at if something pens really quick, there's a certain buyer pool. I always tell people you might have 50 buyers and a $500,000 buyer pool. Well, if there are 50 buyers, if 40 of them found a house and you only have 10 left, they're going to be really picky if there's 20 houses, right? But if all 50 of them are clamoring for 3 of the houses, that's when you're going to see multiple offers. It's a timing thing as well. It's not just price point, it's a timing thing, and understanding when the buyer pools are going to show up and when exhaustion happens sometimes. Because some people do have to deal with multiple offers and they lose and they get outbid and things get burned out, meaning they get tired. They get tired of seeing houses and getting their hopes up and losing that offer. They get tired of going to all the open houses. They get tired of looking and wondering and hoping, and there's the burnout rate. And some people want to go on vacation now, and some people want to take a break, or they have a wedding to go to, or a shower, or a birthday party, and they're like, you know what, we're just going to put a pause and we're going to go over here and we'll check back when something else pops up. So sometimes you'll see a hot and heavy buyer, and then they just tap out for a little bit and then they come back. So it's understanding where are these buyer pools and understanding what's happening, and a great agent can also navigate that for you if you're a buyer or seller. So just pay attention to that. Ask your agents about what that looks like. And if you're an agent, think about that as well. Think about what's happening in the patterns you're looking at with buyers and sellers in your market. If you see lots of coming soons in certain neighborhoods, understand that how many buyers are in that buyer pool to afford that neighborhood, want that neighborhood, and it has to make sense. You have to be the best house in that that pool of opportunity for your buyers to look at, right? So everybody else's house is selling your amazing house for you because it's priced so well, it's conditioned so well, it's marketed so well, all the beautiful things happen, right? And so one of the biggest things I will tell you this is in a low inventory market, I'm gonna put my little plug in for Fiv Realty, is that understanding why I transitioned to Fiv and a clown brokerage is having a tap into all over the country from a lot of them are broker owners previously and have an understanding of what's going on in their market in 22 states of the country. I also coach across the country so I can kind of hear what's going on and get a general consensus with boots on the ground, not just high level headlines that we're seeing on the news when people are feeding information. Because a lot of times you'll see those headlines and it has nothing to do with what's really going on in reality is what I would say. And my prediction honestly is that 2026 is going to be a very powerful year for a lot of people that understand the opportunity there, whether you're buying or selling. And the longer you wait, it is typically not a situation that's beneficial for most people, especially if you have this itch to move, an itch to make change in your life. The more you wait, it doesn't just make it better, right? And one of the things I would say, if you're an agent looking to make a move and you're wanting to be more competitive and you want to get off this treadmill and you're kind of in this old school model, shoot me a message. I'll talk to you about that and we can have a conversation of what model makes sense for you. And I would say the rates are going to come and go. I do think we're going to stay in the low 6s, maybe dip back down in the 5s here and there. And people, if you're smart and you do an arm, you could probably get in, a 7-year arm, and you probably could get into the 5s very easy. I have a couple of clients doing that and they're being really smart, because ask the option. options. Ask your lender about all of the options, because I am not a lender. I'm not going to tell you what to do mortgage-wise, just like I'm not a home inspector. I am not an appraiser, but I have a knowledge enough to know these are the questions you want to ask and get information on so you can make a better educated decision about whatever you're going to make for your next purchase or sale. And then one other thing is like understanding we're seeing like a healthy correction in the market. It's not going to be like 30% over 30% over 30% what we're seeing. We're seeing a traditional increase over time, which is normal in real estate. That's why it's a great play to buy real estate over time if you have a long-term hold. But if you bought a house a year ago, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and you didn't do anything in your house and you think you're going to make a profit, it's probably not going to happen unless you are a unicorn, one in a million kind of house that everybody wants, and you're in the buyer pool of 50 people, then there's one house. Sometimes those happen and those people do really well. It's like going to the casino and betting on the right, number. And it happens for some people. And I think when it happens, they think that they've won and they know everything. It's just, they got lucky. And that's the truth. And so if you want a copy of my RVA neighborhood guide about what I think is hot markets, what I think is worth competing for, what I think is going to grow over time, message me. My contact information is about the About page. Shoot me an email and I'm happy to send it to you. And let's talk. Until then, I'm Agent Empowered and Alicia SoCal. I'd love to serve you as a realtor here in Richmond, Virginia market. Or if you want to talk about joining our brokerage, aligning with Fiv Realty, love to talk to you about that too. Till next time.